Becky. All right, let's go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Legacy Blueprint. Now we're doing a training on our amazing Russell Brunson training, and this is in conjunction with Nobility Digital AI scaling as well. So you kind of double dipping in this. So what we're going to cover today is Russell Brunson's perfect webinar framework, and I'm just kind of covering the foundations of it right now. And I want this to kind of be a little bit of a shorter training because there's so much to it. We can just take our time and week at a time, introduce one or two key concepts, work on those things, and make sure those are really done really well, and then move forward and then move forward and move forward. So, what's shocking about the perfect webinar that I'll start out with is that you probably have 50 to 100 things that you mentally have to keep in your mind that are happening throughout the entire thing. There's no ad-libbing. It's all choreographed, it's all worded exactly in a way that is maximized to overcome objections up front, because you're not just selling one to one, you're selling to many people all at once, and they don't have the ability to come off of mute and tell you what their problems are. They don't have the ability to argue with you about why they don't want to buy, because they're just sitting there in the audience listening to you in a real audience or in a virtual audience, either way. Okay, so what I want to cover today is the concept of the big domino and three lies that prop it up. The big domino is going to be the main objection that is kind of like preventing people from buying your service or product. And if you were in a setting one-on-one, then you would be asking discovery questions like, what is your business and how long you've been doing business? What are the main things that you've tried to make your business work, and where were you having issues with them? How much money did that cost you that you weren't able to fix those issues? Questions like that. And then you would have a conversation back, and they would return the conversation back to you in a one-on-one, selling one to one. So we're not doing that in this circumstance. So we're selling one to many. So what that means is you cannot, it's not really ideal, and I don't recommend opening it up. This doesn't work to open it up to the audience and let them flibber flabber, because every second you let somebody give you a backstory that's not even relevant for you to hear, you're going to be losing valuable time that you need in order to sell the people that are actually going to buy from you. Where those people who have questions, objections are D customers. So you got A customers, B customers, C customers, and D customers. And so the perfect webinar is designed for what I would say an A and a B kind of customers. It's not really C or D. So if you're not familiar with those different letters, just real quick, A is a customer that's ready to buy. They've already done all their research and they got their wallet in their pocket. They're ready to pull out some cash and just throw it at you. That's an A customer. A B customer is kind of someone who's more a little bit logical, and they might have done some research already, but they haven't quite gone over the edge to become an A customer yet. So they're not sold on you particularly yet, but they may be interested in you're in the mix of two or three or four different other providers that they're thinking about opening their wallet and releasing some money for. Okay. And so that's a B customer. Now, those are the two ideal customers for a perfect webinar. A C customer is someone who's on the fence, who hasn't really done any research yet, but knows that they need some kind of product or service, but they're not really sure where to go to find it, and they haven't done their research at all. So they could become a B customer, and then they could become an A customer. But is that really worth your time? No, not so much. You're going to waste your time there. And a D customer is obviously the worst kind of customer that's argumentative. They just want to try to trap you in the corner like the Pharisees tried to do with Jesus. And they're just never going to buy. You're never going to make them happy. They're ultra analytical and they ask questions just to fight you. They're never going to buy from you. They're the worst kind of they're not even a customer. They're not even a customer. So okay, that's A, B, C, and D kind of customers. And so the perfect webinar is going to be for A and B. And really how it works with the A people, those are typically emotionally driven customers that are going to they're going to buy based on emotions. So when you do your offer stack, and at the very end, they're going to be like, "Oh, this is amazing! This is awesome! Oh, get out of my way! I'm going to go run back to the back," and they don't need to be told twice. Like you're probably on the third item of your seven that you're presenting, and they're already getting their card out and they're throwing it at somebody like a ninja star right in their face. But anyway, like that's an emotional buyer. Like they're just like, this is crazy. But it's not that they're not intelligent. And matter of fact, they're more intelligent, in my opinion, than the B customers. And I'll get to them in a second because they see the value in what you're presenting. And they see that you're actually presenting something of real solution to their problem. So they don't need to be told twice they need your product because you've already covered the three dominoes beforehand. You've already removed any kind of barriers to buying. Okay. And they're your perfect customer. The perfect webinar has a perfect customer. And I really believe that's those people who are action takers. They tend to be more emotionally driven, but they may have some logic to them as well because they've considered your option and they know they've looked and they've realized that no one else can do what you can do. And by listening to you for 30, 40 minutes, that was just a nail in the coffin. And now they're like, yep, Gene's the guy, not Kimmy Lee's the woman. It's like, there you go, we're good to go, ready to run. And they are the easiest sales ever. Like you've done your job correctly. You've done the webinar correctly, and they have drunk your Kool-Aid, if you will. And so the B customers, and they're going to buy on day one. Okay. And sometimes you'll have a summit or you'll have a workshop or an immersion event that's 2 days long or 3 days. Or if you're doing a challenge, which is 5 days long, then the people who are a type B customer are not going to buy on day one. They're not going to buy on day one. They'll sleep on it and they'll be a little bit on the fence. They'll be torn. They'll be thinking about the other competitors. They'll be thinking about an objection that you didn't handle well enough. And they're just ultra analytical and really logical. Now, when you're selling to the logical kind of customer, it's totally different for the close. On the second day, like if you're doing a 2 day workshop, on the second day, you're recapping everything for the emotional buyers who've already bought, so you keep them emotional. And then you're like, hey, you guys who've already bought, do I have your permission to go talk to the other people who haven't bought? And of course they're like, yeah, go for it. These guys are stupid. They need to invest. Come on, go. Let's go, Gene. Go get those guys. And so then you get the permission of the emotional buyers, and then you start pitching your close to the logical point of view. And you guys didn't get to see me do this in my last webinar, but basically, when the logical point of view are closing, then you're doing everything way different for this close. This is more like future casting and using a lot of data, using like actual like information because they're logical. You have to think of them like Vulcans, from Star Trek. You're like, okay, I'm a Vulcan. I don't have any emotions. I just have, does the mathematical equation work out or not? And so you'll be presenting things like I would do, like, okay, here's my customer that Gene that I sold, and I gave him a prospecting AI agent whose name is Xavier Charles, and Xavier Charles knocked out 150 leads on day one within like 20 minutes. I had offered him 10 leads per day that were extremely high quality, but he was like, you know what, let me try and see if I can break him. And he went ahead and put the gas pedal on, and instead of having 10 per day, he gets 100, 150 a day. And he tested them all, and they are a high percentage, 80%. See how I'm using a lot of numbers here? 80% effective and high quality of X% of this. You're just throwing out a bunch of numbers from a logical point of view that are real numbers. You're not just, again, if you're making stuff up and it's kind of blowing smoke, then they're going to see that and they're going to be like, you're not going to win that logical buyer. You won't. And logical buyers can be extremely, really good customers, extremely, really good customers. So you don't want to not sell to them. Okay. And so you also would want to say, you'd also want to push your lost cost. What's the lost cost goods, basically? Basically, where you're like, okay, Here's your cost if you don't invest. A logical buyer loves this because they are running all the numbers. So, I would say something more like, okay, if you don't if you don't buy Xavier Charles, let's just say he cost $2,000. If you don't spend $2,000 as a one-time investment on Xavier Charles, that's the name of my AI employee who does prospecting, then you're going to continue to pay your staff member who's an appointment setter at the current rate that you're paying them monthly. And let's say that they have a current salary of $7,000. We'll just make it easy for sake of math here. $10,000 per month because you're in like California or somewhere and it's high, or New York or something. I don't know, whatever, where it's really high wage, higher than the Midwest is. Okay. And so 10K a month, you're paying your prospecting human, and your human gets 22% accuracy in closing with the ability to like book. And then confirmations are less than that. You have a confirmation rate of 17%. Then you have a show rate of 5%, and you have a close rate of 1.2%. See how specific those numbers are? As a logical buyer, I'm gonna love that. I'm gonna eat that up. It's like this guy is talking my language now. You have to think about your world. You have to think about the world of actuarial science. However you say that word. I cannot say that word. Actuarial. Anyway, um, so when you do that, then you're appealing to the other side of the brain. So the first day closers, who are the action takers, are usually what creative side of their brain. And now these are the other side of the brain. I forget if it's left or right brain or whatever. If any of you guys know in the chat, you can tell me is left brain is logical and right brain is creative, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. But anyway, you get the point what I'm making here. But so now you're appealing to the. Yeah, you sent everybody the meeting ID. Please, thank you. So, here's what ultimately happened. Okay, sorry, my other Zoom meeting just kind of went off here because I guess my Bluetooth ran out of battery power. It's like, I hope he's not like listening to me teach here. I should still be muted. Okay, I'm muted still. Okay, good. All right, so anyway, left brain is logical. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're talking to the left side of the brain, um, for these customers. And these customers are going to be um, focused on an analytical nature, focused on numbers. So you can go down to the close rate of 1.2%, and then you can rebuild it. So what we're doing in essence is redoing what we did in the perfect webinar that you saw me do the other day, which is break down the myth that from now we're breaking down the myth of numbers. Okay. So we're like, okay, you think you have your numbers figured out, and you think that an AI employee is going to cost this amount, produce this, let me tell you what it really does. And so then you can say what the real numbers are and the close rates. So first and foremost, instead of saying, you start to reword the way you're closing. On day one, you're talking to emotional buyers who want to buy the destination. So I would say something like, you're going to get an AI employee who's never going to call in sick, doesn't need any vacation time, always does his job accurately, okay, and doesn't require benefits. And an emotional buyer who's an action taker, you're good. You're talking their language. But over on the left side of the brain, they're trying to connect the costs and the individual analytical costs of all that. So you'd want to give the same points in the same order, but you'd be wanting to tell the costs of what each of those are. So, like for instance, but here's an AI plan would never ask for benefits that cost $1,245 a month on average. I could have put that on day one, but you know, it's just extra numbers thrown out there when they don't need to hear the numbers. They just need to hear the destination. So that's why I don't put those numbers out on the first day, because I don't need to say the numbers to close them. And I want to get them because they're low-hanging fruit for me because I'm really emotional. I'm a really like action taker. I'm not I'm not really in the camp of the day two people, but I know how to sell to them. And so So you're going to be, putting those specific numbers on there, and then that's how you close up day two, which is the left side of the brain. Okay. All of this to say, like I started with, okay, here's our concept of we're going to talk about the big domino, and then I went on this tangent of closing. I should probably figure out a curriculum on what I'm teaching every day to you guys. That might be a wise thing to do for me next week. But this week has been crazy. Next week, I'm traveling to Atlanta. So, yeah, we're winging this. We're winging this. But anyway, hopefully you're finding value in this replay. And you guys here live, thank you for joining me. And so let's go back to the big domino and what I did in the prior webinar that you saw the other day with me. So first and foremost, I recognize that very valuable. Okay, yay, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a good comment. Okay, and so when I going back to the big domino, what I did the other day, because my product that I sell is AI employee creation. So AI employees, I create them, I code them, and I make a custom Chat GPT. I share the link with you, and you're super impressed because pow, you can just hit a link, and then all of a sudden your Chat GPT is upgraded, and you have my custom GPT in there that you can talk to. And so, like I just did this today with Gene, actually. I send a templated soldier, if you will, over to Gene or whoever the customer is. And then I have to actually put the armor on. Like it's just a template, is what it is. And so I can only build it so much so that I can sell those to the droves. Okay. And then when they actually get sold, then the customer needs to come back for a second meeting to actually onboard the customer, onboard the agent, blah, 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 onboard the AI agent and do the training for that agent. So you got a person, you got an agent, you bought a value of $1,000 to $80,000, depending on what you're buying from me, and then you're gonna need to train that agent. You need to train that employee, just like you would train a human. And so on day two, when after I'm done onboarding the customer, then I go in and like, Gene, you needed me to help you teach Laura Walker, who's the name of your AI employee. I got you, I sold you. And she needed to write an ebook for you, like an electronic book or an actual novel, an actual, not a novel, but an actual book that talks about helping veterans. And um, so anyway, all that to say, I had to go in and give you some extra prompts to train Laura to be able to do her job better. And now you're using those prompts and it's working just fine. And so the employee needs to put on the training and start going. And so I forget where I was going with that. So I was talking about the big domino. Okay. How many times can I stray from the big domino? All right. So the big domino is on day one, you need to have a lot of tech knowledge, okay? Or you're not going to be able to do your AI. It's not worth no value to buy an AI. And you're gonna need to sub in what the big lie is, whatever the person is that's in your industry. Okay. So um maybe for Gene, he would know better than me because he's in this world all the time. Like the veteran thinks that it's worthless, like he cannot get extra benefits, like it's impossible. Like why even bother? Maybe it's too much confusing paperwork or something is the main domino that's preventing success in the world that Gene is in. Okay. Now, cumulatively might be, let's say we're talking about your email business that you do with growing emails. So your big domino might be something like, um, I have to have a team around me to build. Yours is probably more like I have to spend a lot of money to get emails. Okay. I think that's probably right, right? Is that pretty accurate? That's probably the biggest objection you probably hear.
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, so now you have the big domino, and let's just stay on you for a moment here. So your big objection is in order to get 1,000 emails within 1 or 2 years or whatever, you've got to have all this marketing spend, and you've got to have all this social media influence, and you've also got to have um, a a hire a person to run a public relations uh, what do you call it? Public campaign. I just gave you three things that are all related to money. Those are the three things that are propping up the big domino. Okay. That big domino is it's going to cost money to get emails. Now I gave you three specific things that are holding it up. So your job in the perfect webinar is to talk about those three things, tear them down so that they are not, so they see, and you call them out and say that those are lies, and then you rebuild them so that way you tell the truth on how your product or service is different and how you don't have to believe those lies. And then when you pull out those three props, the big domino comes down. They have no reason to not buy from you at that point. You've totally disarmed them. And you never had to bring them off mute. You never had to pass a microphone in the audience because you're just blanket covering everything in a shotgun approach. That was really good. Like I should have wrote down what I said. Hopefully you took notes because that's what your perfect webinar should look like. And
Yes, I took lots of notes. Thank you.
okay, you bet, good because I've already forgot what I said. All right, so Gene, you're like you're like your big domino is what? Like it's too complicated for the paperwork, right? Is that your big domino, or is it mindset, or what? What's your big domino that keeps veterans from signing up for your services? Are you still here? Have you been transported to another planet? I think he's been transported to another planet.
Could be that he went to the bathroom really quickly.
Maybe he's in the bathroom. Okay, just we keep moving along here. This is recorded, so okay, so I'm just gonna make this up here until Gene comes back to planet Earth again. So, so I'm just gonna assume I'm not in his world all day
Sorry
long.
about that. Sorry about that. My mic wasn't working. I'm up here trying to talk. What did you say again?
We having fun. We having fun, family. We do.
Okay.
You have a big domino, and
Right.
that like for Nakimili, it's like it's too expensive to get emails. It's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then I went over three things that are propping it up. Okay. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, what would you say your big domino is? Like my whole hand is a domino. We'll imagine
Mm.
that. Is it that they feel like the paperwork's too complicated, or is it a mindset problem
It
where
it's it's the process is too confusing. It's too complicated. It's not straightforward. One plus one doesn't equal two. It actually equals four. They don't understand how to read or understand the letters that they receive back. So it's so confusing. It's a confusing process
got it?
that they
Okay.
give up.
Got it. So
Hmm.
it's a mixture of confusion and we might actually be more talking about the three props already because
Hmm.
you've got confusion, you got complicated paperwork, that's one
Right.
thing.
Hmm.
And then you have like logically things don't add up, which is to
Right.
me that's a different topic because it's like
Hmm.
one plus one equals four,
Right.
you know, and then you've got overwhelm probably, overwhelm.
Overwhelmed,
Yeah,
discouraged.
discouragement. So
Yeah.
I would say that your big domino is probably mindset then. I think it's
Yes.
probably mindset. Yeah. So they
Hmm.
have a mindset that they've already given up and they've given up in those three areas.
Roger.
Okay. So if you don't want to address the mindset, you want to address the three areas.
Exactly.
Okay. Because if you can topple these three areas that are
Hmm.
holding up the domino, then the domino comes down.
So are you
Remember,
saying if I could simplify the three things holding up the domino, simplify it for them, or make them understand my whatever I'm selling to them or explaining to them, I simplify in a way that makes it seem simple and willing to trust into the business, then the domino shall fall over.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, like, let's take one of those points, like confusion about the papers being really, really confusing. Now,
Right.
you're gonna say to them, "You've gotten this paper, Form 1059B or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and the most confusing paper. You want to choose the most confusing paper that everybody gets, okay?"
Roger.
And then you'll talk about that paper and then you'll do the bits framework, which I'll teach on another day. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, you'll use a certain framework so that you're in their brain and on their point of view, and then what you'll do is you'll talk about that paper, 1059B or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll say, you think that this is really, really complicated because that's what they're telling themselves. That's the
Mm-hmm.
lie that they're telling themselves that's propping it. This is the first of three that's propping them up. So you're just getting the first one here you're addressing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to say, but that's a lie
Mm-hmm.
because, and then you go explain why it's simple for you to understand.
Roger.
And
Okay.
then, that could be a universal explanation of it that
Mm-hmm.
may or may not require your services, but it should be going towards your services.
Roger. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What you probably don't want to do, which would be less effective for you, is you got to be careful on when you're doing the three things that let me just do it for you. I'm better. Like that's not
Right.
quite as impressive
Right.
as, like when I was doing my perfect webinar,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like, okay, money was an issue. AI employees are going to cost too much. But let's put you in the middle of Nebraska when it's 20 degrees below zero, and you have to call Omaha, Nebraska, which is 5 hours away, and you have to pay $20,000, and your baby, who is 3 months old, is not going to die because you have found someone in Omaha who's 5 hours away that'll be there in 3 hours. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. They're 5 hours away and they'll be there in 5 hours. They'll fix it in 3 hours. So in 8 hours later, 20 grand later, your baby's gonna live. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
find the $20,000. You're gonna find it.
Roger.
Okay. So that that doesn't really tie directly into my company. Does that make sense?
Roger. Mm-hmm.
That's a more of a mindset problem
Mm-hmm.
where let me tell you why. And then I tie it into for the logical people. The employee I'm going to sell you is going to save you $84,959 a year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to find $20,000 to pay me all day long. It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with
Roger.
me. I mean, it does at that point, it ties into my company. But beforehand, when I'm talking about the HVAC problem, it's just a universal way for them to understand their mind is off. Okay. Like they're believing a lie, and this is the truth that you should believe. Okay. So, so some of the props will be mindset things, and
Mm-hmm.
other props will topple just because you're offering
A
a not
solution?
a solution, right? That's not
Mm-hmm.
mindset related. Okay. Because
Mm-hmm.
because usually the three things that are propping up any problem in general for any business
Mm-hmm.
is time. If I can get this done for you in less time, would that be worth it?
Roger.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Money. If I can get this done for you in less money than you're currently paying, would that be worth it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so time and money are almost universally two of the things that are propping up the big domino, almost
Right.
always. Okay. And then the third thing is usually system specific. It's usually like unique to your industry.
Mm-hmm.
But every perfect webinar should address time and money, every one of
Right.
them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same problem everybody always objects in. Okay.
Right.
And so I'm gonna bring the training in for our landing now because we're getting close to our hour and I want to honor everybody's time. So just as a quick review, what I covered today was you have a big domino. It's propped up by three things. You need to find out what those three things are. You want to tell them and expose that they are lies, but then you want to build, like, destroy those beliefs, and then you want to build those back up in a way that's truthful, that your company or service provides the solution and why. They're
Hmm.
typically going to be money related and time related, and then something specific to your industry that you can only solve. And then once the three things are destroyed, then the big domino will come down, and you have an extraordinarily higher percentage of closing those deals.
Right.
And now you have a filter that I challenge to you guys as as a homework assignment is to go online and try to find webinars. And now that you know about the dominoes, and now you know about the three things propping up the dominoes, it will be painfully horrible experience for you to listen to people try to sell things without even addressing the dominoes.
Got you.
And I want you to try to listen to one or two or 10 different pitches online trying to sell whatever. You could even be industry related that are similar to what you're selling, and
Hmm.
just listen to their presentation. You won't even make it through like 10,
Hmm.
15 minutes because you'll be like, this is so not Russell Brunson. I'm out of here. This is a waste of my time, right?
Hmm.
And not only are you feeling that way, but everybody else listening to that video is feeling the same way.
Hmm.
Now,
It's so funny you say that because just before this, I was on someone's webinar, and after just about 20 minutes, I was like, oh, this was a waste.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's so funny. But it's true because on that webinar that you listened to, okay, I'll say this. I'm choosing certain things that have impacted me when I went through the immersion experience with Russell Brunson. And
Hmm.
these things kind of popped out as me as, okay, these are a bit more of the bigger things that need to be focused on, like the
Hmm.
offer stack, which we covered the first week. I mean, you got to have an offer stack. Otherwise, you're not going to know what to build the rest of your webinar on and around. And then now that we got the offer stack, we can go back and we can figure out the domino and the three props that are related to the offer stack. Because now your offer stack is not going to be so mysterious anymore. Like these three props are probably over in your offer stack. They're probably over there too because you just solved the problem, right? So you're probably going to solve, like, let's say for me, I'm going to give you like what I did, which was like what was it, like 6 months of support or something like that, which is what? Time. So I'm going right back to the time prop. And I'm like, I'm going to save you time. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to hold you accountable 1 week at a time for 6 weeks, which is like a $20,000 value or whatever I said. I can't remember. And so that's in my offer stack. And it's also in destroying this false belief. So it's like all calculated. And that's why when you guys listen to the end of that offer stack, you're like, this is crazy great. Oh my gosh, it's amazing because it went into the right format. It went into the framework. It's all crazy connected. I mean, it's like, ooh, look at me. I'm the puppet master or whatever, you know. It's like, and when you do these things, it's fun. It's actually really fun to give these webinars when you know what every word you're saying and why it's being said and what it does. It gives you this whole new frame of awareness, and it's actually quite fun because, and maybe in another week you guys can hold me accountable. Like, I was reading the audience. You can read that's why everyone says, hey, turn your cameras on, turn your cameras on. Here's another free nugget real quick, because it's like, if your camera's on, then you can read when people are starting to go like this, or they're starting to pick up their phone and start, then you know you're off. You know that you're not getting that domino prop destroyed quick enough. And so anyway, that's for another week. But three props related to your offer stack, and then remember A, B, C, D customers, and then remember closing on day one is emotional and the action takers who are CEOs, they're decision makers. And then you have the analytical people who might be CEOs as well, but more likely they're probably solopreneurs or, maybe they're just in a job and they're not doing a business, but they need to better themselves somehow. And that's why they're listening to your webinar. They're going to probably fall in this camp over here of a B customer who's very logic driven. Although there are some CEOs in there, I noticed that most CEOs are over here in A land, okay? If they're a good CEO. Okay. All right. So that's the end of this training. Your assignment is to go listen to some other non-Russell Brunson frameworks and let it drive you crazy. And then also, if you have not discovered what your big domino is, go into the WhatsApp or reach out to me, however else you have contact with me, and ask me, I can't figure out my domino. What is it? And then I will help you figure the domino out like I did for Gene and Nakimili today. And I'll also help you figure out what those three things propping it up are and how those three things can be solved over in your offer stack. Okay. So that is what we got for today. Thank you so much, guys. We will see you next week. And as far as I know, hold on a second. Next week is going to be a little bit different because I will be flying. Okay. So I may be in Atlanta by 7 p.m. I may not be. So I don't know what I'm going to do on next week. So I'm thinking what we may want to do is if we want to meet on Thursday, let me get in the air and figure out if I'm on track to get to Atlanta on time or if I'm delayed, then we could certainly meet on Thursday. I'm supposed to arrive at like 6:35 their time, which would be like 5:30 Central. So I should be there before 7 p.m. So it may be a non-issue. We may be able to meet next week. But let's just hold that really loosely because I may be delayed and I may not be able to help you next week, is the bottom line. And so, but the 26th is good. So if we are not able to, if I'm delayed in my airplane flight, then there'll be no meeting. Or what we could do is hold it loosely. I don't know. Do you guys want to go? Do you want to have a little extra time maybe to figure?
Yeah, just yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you're flying to Atlanta. You have some stuff going on there. I know the seminar there on the 21st. So we could
Yeah.
just
Let me knock that out. Let me knock
yeah,
it out.
knock
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
You might
Cool.
come back some other stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. So we're not going to meet at all next week. That's really helpful for me. Thank you, Gene. I wanted to hear that. It was really nice to hear someone tell me that. Okay, so we'll just skip the 19th altogether, but we will be able to meet. Oh shoot, you know what? We can't. I got my challenge going on the 26th. Um, let me just get back to you.
Okay.
We'll change the time and day. We'll change the time. Let
Oh,
me just
no problem.
we'll go this really loosely because I
Yeah.
have a 5 day I have a 5 day challenge I'm doing from the 25th to the 30th. And so that's happening in the evening. So I won't be able to meet in the evening. So what I'll probably do is I'll change it to the maybe the morning of the maybe Thursday morning. You guys available Thursday morning, the 26th?
I'll be free.
Yeah, I'm free too.
Okay, cool. 9 a.m. Central or what time you guys like? 10 a.m. Central?
9, 10. I'm free. It doesn't matter for me.
Uh,
Okay.
10 would be better. 10 a.m. Central is better for me.
10 a.m. is Central for you. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay, so let's do 10 a.m. Central on the 26th will be our next meeting then. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let me pray us out real quick. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for all this Russell Brunson training and also putting in a little bit of my own sales training that I've had over the years. And thank you that we were able to figure out about next week's schedule and switching it over to 10 a.m. Central on the 26th for our next meeting. I pray you would give dreams that these people watching right now and in the replay have not dreamed for a long time. To have them hope and peace that they know they're meant to sell something for your kingdom. They are meant to do something great for your kingdom, and that you would unlock whatever barriers are in their way, that you would push down any dominoes that are in their way, that you would expose any things that are propping up the dominoes that are personally in their lives, blocking them from going forward in their business, and then remove the domino that's preventing them from understanding what the actual domino is that their perfect webinar needs to be about. I think you understood what I meant. That was rather confusing. But anyway, we just pray for dominoes, no dominoes. That's the bottom line. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
It was one of the weirdest prayers I've ever done.
When you said, I hope you understand, you were talking to us or to God? God understood. We know he understands everything.
I think I was talking to myself.
Uh,
That was great. You guys are the best.